What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. In the last part, we covered the radically different Battle of Gods, as well as the beginning of a brand new arc that was starting. While the Frieza Force was pretty easily defended against, it seems that Earth still wasn't safe, as a new yet familiar threat appeared. It was Cell, and not a new one or one from a different timeline, it was the same one from before. He even recognized Ruta. So what happened that caused Cell to come back? Well, obviously, we have a lot to cover. For this video, let's set a like goal of 3,000 likes. Once we hit that, I'll continue with another part. Anyways, let's pick up from here. So as I mentioned, this Cell is the same Cell from before. I was pretty interested to read through the comments and see what people's theories were about this Cell. And surprisingly, not many people predicted this. You see, for this brand new arc, consider it somewhat of a rewrite of the Super 17 saga in Dragon Ball GT. Well, not really, more so it's taking heavy inspiration from it. But how is that? Well, let's rewind a bit, all the way back to the Buu saga once Dabura died. Since we are taking inspiration from GT, we're gonna assume that both Gero and Dabura get to keep their bodies in Hell. If Frieza did, then they probably would as well as a certain other someone. In Hell, Dabura ends up meeting Gero, as well as Babidi, who's been sent to the same place. They're all pretty disappointed, and want revenge on a common group of people. That group of Earthlings, Saiyans, that one Namekian, and those androids. Dabura and Babidi are particularly angry at the Saiyans, while Gero is very angry at the androids. But they're pretty much all angry at everyone else on Earth. And there is one more person in Hell that's there with them, and that would be Cell. While Cell is Gero's creation, it's not like they're best friends or anything. However, Cell, Gero, Dabura, and Babidi all have a common goal: revenge. And the perfect weapon is right there. First off, Cell needs some upgrades. Gero is able to give Cell DNA from Babidi and Dabura, not only allowing him to have Dabura's strength, but Babidi's magical abilities. So, he's upgraded far beyond his original capabilities. Gero really wanted to gather some DNA from Ruta, Bardock, and Raditz as well, but obviously with their current location, they're gonna have kind of a hard time getting DNA from people on Earth in the living world. They are able to work with what they have here though. So now, the actual escape plan. Although it will take a long time, possibly even years, the combined magic of Babidi, Dabura, and Cell may be enough to create a rift to allow them to get to Earth. As we have seen both in canon and non-canon content, it doesn't necessarily seem too hard to get back to the living world. And with strong people such as this, I'm sure it would be possible. But they are eventually able to create this rift out of Hell. As Cell exits through the temporary portal, the three other villains laugh, seeing Cell as kind of a weapon for them. They get to sit back and relax in Hell as Cell does the dirty work. But of course, Cell is doing things his way. He doesn't need these guys anymore. He has the strength to overpower Dabura, the magical abilities to outshine Babidi, and the intelligence to make Gero's pale in comparison. He has it all now, and he no longer needs these guys on his side. This is his mission now. And can he really even trust them? As he departs Hell, he launches a massive blast, killing the three of them altogether. And since they died while in the afterlife, these three are now all permanently dead. The portal begins rapidly shrinking as Cell heads through it, quickly closing off as he's now back in the living world. So now the hard part. Who should he target first? Well, there is one thing that could be useful from one of the fighters on Earth. Something that Gero didn't have the resources to make in Hell. An infinite energy engine. They actually told Cell to do this regardless, so they wouldn't have to make an engine themselves. If he attacks one of the androids first, he can just kill them, take the battery, and install it within himself. Much easier than gathering the resources and actually building the part. With that, he'll truly be unstoppable. And not only is it easier, but it's a bit more fun. Remaining stealthy, his first target is Android 18, and once he arrives at their house, he immediately blows it up. This is the quickest way to do it. Hopefully he killed everyone inside so he could just steal her engine pretty easily, with no issues at all. But, as we mentioned in the last part, they weren't home. They actually lucked out here, and he doesn't have any idea where she would be at the moment. But thankfully, there's other androids for him to target. This leads him to going towards Android 17 on the island. Once he arrives on the island, he easily defeats Android 17, and that brings us to where we were in the last part. The thing that's paralyzing Ruta, and that weird energy she's feeling, that's magic. That energy absorption technique that she and Bardock had was pretty annoying for Cell, so he wants to make sure that she's held in place and she can't do anything about it. With Android 17 unconscious in Cell's hands, Ruta watches in terror as Cell lifts his tail. With a gruesome scene, he stabs Android 17 in the stomach, removing the engine inside him. With the engine now in his possession, he throws the gravely injured android aside, as Ruta struggles to free herself so she could heal Android 17. He's finally done it. He has the infinite energy engine, and now he'll be unstoppable. Now it's time to enact his revenge. He'll save Ruta for last. He killed her once already, so her watching 17 die should be good enough for him. As he charges a blast in her direction, Cell is then caught off guard by two blasts. Pretty strong ones in fact, but they don't really damage him too much. He looks over and sees. Of course, people nearby would sense what's happening, and two people have joined to save the day. Android 16 hovers above with his arms detached, having just launched a Hell's Flash at Cell. By his side is Gohan with red hair in his Super Saiyan God form. And this was the perfect distraction. It allows Ruta to free herself, quickly grabbing 17 and then teleporting over to Gohan. Mid-air, she's able to heal 17, but it appears there's an issue. Sure, she did help him restore his wounds, but that's not going to restore technology. He retains his android strength, but now, he of course does not have that infinite energy engine to rely on. He can still fight though and help, but this will take some getting used to since he's so used to fighting with it. It's definitely cause for problems, but at least he's okay. Cell grins. Ah, more challengers. This should make it more fun. Plus it gives him the chance to test out his new powers more. Combine the 4-attack Cell, as Ruta also goes into Super Saiyan God. Suppressed, Cell is able to hold them off pretty easily, but Gohan and Ruta then hear a voice. It's Goku trying to check in on everyone. He sensed a very evil energy on Earth, as well as the energy of his son and his sister Raisin, naturally making him think that they're in trouble. He asks if they need help or if they're okay, but they tell him not to come. If Cell fights Goku or any other of Beerus' students, he can absorb their energy and become unstoppable. Sure, their strength would be helpful, but they don't know what Cell is capable of now. For all they know, that would just help him. Well, at least they know what's going on. But Goku's of course pissed and concerned. As is Raditz. He really wants to intervene to help and tells Bardock to take him there, but Bardock declines. He asks Goku and Goku says the same. Whis even steps in too, saying it's best that they stay here unless they're absolutely needed. It'll be interesting to see how those on Earth handle themselves. While Goku, Bardock, and Vegeta realize that they can't intervene, this really does not sit well with Raditz. With the group heavily disadvantaged, Cell continues the onslaught. Not only does he have the edge in terms of power, but he has magic which they can't really counter. And Cell seems to be heavily relying on magic here. He truly is a terrifying threat now. But as the four fight Cell, they then watch surprised as he's then cut into 4 pieces, with a massive ki blast going through those pieces. A little bit caught off guard, Cell regenerates, as someone then teleports behind him and he feels a sword go through his chest, slicing upwards towards his head, as he's then cut once again into many little pieces. After a massive flash of light, it's revealed who's there. Drawing the Z-sword back, Piccolo stands there, as Cell then regenerates from all his tiny pieces. Of course, that wasn't enough to kill him. He thought his magical abilities would be enough to defend against a random attack like that, not to mention his natural strength. The group's elated to see Piccolo, and Cell's pretty amused. He never expected a weakling like Piccolo to be here. And what's with the sword? Cell tries to restrain Piccolo using his magic, ready to eat Piccolo as a snack, but Piccolo easily breaks free somehow. Although Piccolo doesn't nearly match Cell in terms of power, remember who he's training with. He's working with Kai's. And Piccolo's no real stranger to magic himself. Here, he's essentially able to nullify all of Cell's magical abilities, pretty much rendering them useless on him. And while this is pretty good, there's still the issue of power. Of course, Piccolo is a powerful addition, but even with him, it's still not nearly enough to defeat Cell. Stretching his hand towards the sky, Piccolo then heals all his allies, telling 16 to retreat as he can't be healed by Piccolo's abilities. He'll take 16's place as he nullifies Cell's magic, helping the group in their attacks. While Cell still does have the upper hand, he's a little bit angered by this, after all that time spent getting his magical abilities, and with how useful they were, he somehow can't even use them now. Why? Confusion mixes with anger as he reveals more of his full power, giving the group some serious trouble. He is especially wary of Ruta, because now without his magical abilities, she may be able to hit him, which would allow her to drain his energy. Most of his focus is spent avoiding her, but he has a better idea. Since he already did kill her, he wanted to let her off easy, but the best option here is probably to just kill Ruta outright. There's no point in savoring the moment if it'll screw him over. Quickly charging a massive blast, he aims one towards her, as everyone looks in shock knowing what will happen. Desperately, she quickly braces herself. A massive explosion takes place mid-air, with Gohan, Piccolo, and 17 looking on in horror. Cell chuckles to himself, but Gohan and Piccolo realize they can still sense her energy, and it seems that someone else is there too. The blast dissipates, revealing Ruta with her arms up, trying to block the blast. But in front of her is Raditz, with his hand stretched out, with Bardock alongside him. Seeing Bardock, it makes Cell explode in anger. This guy again, meddling with his plans. He's not even going to try to savor the moment, he'll kill Bardock instantly. As he lunges towards Bardock, Bardock then lets out a chuckle as he teleports away, back to Beerus' planet. He's not there to fight, he was only there to transport Raditz. After much thinking, they decided it might be good to send some help. Even with the risk, it shouldn't be too bad if they send one person, and Raditz seemed to insist on going. He hasn't really been there for his siblings too much, but now he's gonna make up for that. As Bardock teleports away, Cell stumbles mid-air, confused as to where Bardock went. He then plummets to the ground as Raditz delivers a flying kick, spiking him downwards. Cell still collectively outshines them all in terms of power, but naturally this is an issue for him. Not only is his magic nullified now, but they have an extra fighter here, and he seems pretty strong. What the hell happened to Raditz? He was never this strong before. And now that he thinks about it, why do Ruta and Gohan have red hair, and why does Raditz have blue hair? These are some really weird looking Super Saiyan forms. But whatever, he picks himself back up and continues fighting. For the time being, Cell decides to set his sights on Piccolo, and the group is keen to pick up on this quickly. They now all struggle to protect him. Cell is singling him out now because he wants to activate his magic once more. They continue fighting, and then Gohan is suddenly handed something by Piccolo. Piccolo subtly passes it towards Gohan so Cell wouldn't see it. This must be a Senzu bean or something, but telepathically, Piccolo then begins conversing with Gohan and Raditz. Raditz hears them loud and clear, as he taunts Cell going on the offensive rather than the defensive. He gets Cell to fight him one-on-one, telling Cell that no matter how strong he is now, it's nothing in comparison to where Raditz is. Of course, this is a lie, and Raditz doesn't really stand a chance here, but he's confident. He focuses on dodging Cell's tail, even cutting it off with a sword made of ki, with both of his hands encapsulated in ki blades. Obviously these blades don't injure Cell since he just regenerates, but it's a smart move by Raditz. As Raditz continues lunging towards Cell with the ki blades, he has a new plan. He goes for Cell's arms and legs, continuously cutting them off, as well as his tail. And you know what? To up the ante, how about some more blades? Raditz turns his legs into blades as well. He does have to be really careful with this, but this essentially makes him a sentient Kienzan right now. Raditz grins. This seemingly basic strategy is enough to hold Cell off, at least until Cell is able to think a way around it. There's no point in holding back anymore. Cell fully powers up, and the power that Cell shows off actually makes Raditz's stomach drop. Everyone on Beerus' planet reacts the same way too, except for Beerus and Whis. Beerus is admittedly a bit intrigued, but he'll let these mortals handle it. The good thing is, Piccolo only needed a really short diversion, and Raditz accomplished that. As Raditz distracted Cell, Ruta was able to heal both Piccolo and Gohan, as Piccolo can't really just heal himself. She and 17 get the rundown on the plan, and they tell everyone to be safe, as she and 17 then teleport in to help Raditz. In the heat of the battle, Cell lets out a massive explosion, as 17 desperately tries to shield the island beneath them, and this blast knocks the 3 fighters back, leaving them open for Cell to strike. As Raditz tries to rebound, he sees Cell's tail lunging towards him. Too fast for him to dodge or slice off, but then he sees someone else slices off the tail. Raditz, Ruta, and 17 are happy. The diversion worked. Watching from Beerus' planet, Whis shows everyone on his staff. Goku's pretty shocked. What happened to Gohan? Whis' staff displays an image of Gohan with green skin, and some other odd features, as Whis explains. It was a pretty smart move on Piccolo's part. The item that he handed Gohan was a Patara earring. Cell looks up and sees the same thing that Goku is looking at. A new figure wielding the Z-Sword. The fusion of Gohan and Piccolo, a fusion of master and student. The hardest part now is coming up with a name. I could do Kalohan like Dragon Ball Fusions does, but since this is a different fusion, let's say he dubs himself Gohalo, because any other option is kind of a mouthful or sounds very odd. But he doesn't focus on that right now. The fusion's pretty content. The massive power of Gohan combined with the abilities of a Namekian and a Kai. Although, his grin disappears, as he gets a message from the Grand Supreme Kai within his head. He told Piccolo not to use those earrings on himself, and Piccolo completely forgot. This may make the fusion permanent because Piccolo is an apprentice Kai. No one's really sure, but the Kais warned against it just to be on the safe side. Maybe it'll be okay, but only time will tell. Gohalo needs to focus on the fight, although he dreads the possibility of having to explain this to Videl later. Oh, Kami, and he has to explain it to Chi-Chi too. He tosses that worry aside as Cell attacks, but he's able to Kai away. Seems like Cell forgot that this fusion could teleport. Cell tries to attack again, but it's the same result. He turns around and sees Gohalo standing there, charging a special beam cannon. How stupid. Cell knows that move too, and he knows how long it takes to charge. Preparing a quick blast, he launches it towards Gohalo, and the blast seemingly erases the fusion. But Ruta, Raditz, and 17 aren't too scared. That was just a clone, a mere distraction, because little does Cell know, about a dozen other Gohalos are around him charging the same attack. He realizes it when it's too late, and he's hit by these collective attacks, as the fusion then reforms into one being, with a brilliant red flash as he turns into Super Saiyan God, or at least whatever his version of Super Saiyan God is. Still, it seems like it might not be enough. Cell is just too strong, but this fusion should do a good job holding him off. Cell prepares his own Kienzan, and Gohalo seemingly isn't too fast to dodge this, as his arm gets sliced off. He regenerates, feigning his weakness, but really, this is just as planned. While Gohalo regenerates the arm, Cell launches towards him, but is then hit from behind as Gohalo controls his severed arm. Distracted, Cell looks behind to see who attacked him, seeing nothing but a floating arm there, leaving him open for another attack from Gohalo. This fusion, it's mocking him. Cell snaps. He's lost all of his sanity. With a menacing grin on his face, he charges a massive Kamehameha, one that'll erase the fusion easily. But just as he's about to launch it, his hands are then pushed upward towards his face, erasing his entire head and upper chest. Cell angrily regenerates, seeing Gohalo's arm stretched out. Laughing as he watched Cell hit himself. The Gohan side of the fusion is amazed. The Namekian DNA sure is interesting. With amazing speed, Cell then launches towards Gohalo, finally landing a massive hit. This sends the fusion plummeting down towards the island, as Cell then once again charges a blast. He'll destroy the entire island, everyone on it, and the planet. He doesn't care anymore. He's lost all rational thinking. Who cares if he can't absorb these people for more power? But as he charges the blast, he notices he's not really able to charge it too quickly. It's almost as if he's straining to charge it. Everyone down below looks on, smiling. Then Cell notices Ruta isn't there with them. Nearby on a tall hill, Ruta is there, slowly draining Cell's energy. Gohalo served as a great distraction, and in the midst of their fight, Ruta was able to land a punch on Cell, and he didn't even realize it, assuming it was just one of the Gohalo clones. Cell quickly comes to the realization of what just happened, and now is the perfect opportunity to kill him. Creating 2 massive blocks of Kachikachin, Gohalo then slams them into Cell, crushing him and disorienting him greatly, combined with the fact that his energy is being drained. With Cell temporarily stunned, Gohalo then goes to slice Cell in half, and although it's kind of disgusting, he stretches his hand out, grabbing everything inside of Cell. He retracts his arm back and Cell regenerates. But as we mentioned before, you can't regenerate something mechanical, something that's not originally part of you. And as for Cell, the infinite energy engine was an addition, it wasn't something that was part of his biological body. Gohalo was able to steal it back. Cell's lost, hasn't he? He has no infinite energy, he has no magic, and his energy is slowly being siphoned by Ruta. But there is one more option. With a psychotic laugh, Cell then prepares to blow himself up, as he's then punched in the face once again by Ruta. Collectively, the rest of the group attacks too, as she keeps trying to steal Cell's energy. Cell is then held in place by Gohalo. This is it. Raditz allows Ruta to do the honors. Once again, she jumps up, with a look of rage and determination on her face. One of her fists is coated in a red aura, as well as coating herself in the stolen energy from Cell. She essentially becomes a missile. With a godly dragon fist, Ruta then lands the finishing blow on Cell, as he slowly disintegrates, being hit by his own energy, which was part of that massive glow surrounding Ruta. She finally did it. This is revenge from when she died before, and vengeance for what he did to 17. As his cells fizzle out of existence, the group watches content as he's now dead for good. Gohalo descends, glad to have helped, but of course he can't help but feel concerned. This fusion may actually be permanent. Well, they'll know for sure in about an hour or so, and although there's a bit of damage, 17 thankfully protected the island, as well as 16, Jade, and all the animals that were on it too. He was mostly focused on that, and without his infinite energy engine, he couldn't really do too much else. But now they have the engine back, so they could just head to Bulma and get it repaired. Good idea. Ruta grabs him and then teleports into Bulma, as Gohalo and Raditz say goodbye. Raditz and Gohalo then teleport into the city, where 18 and Krillin now are. This is the last loose end that they need. How are they going to repair the house? Well, Gohalo is half a Supreme Kai. So, using those abilities, thankfully he's able to create a new house for them. And this time, he fits it with the gym. He tells the two of them to train up because next time, this support won't be on the house. No pun intended. The two of them then teleport back to Beerus' planet, and they're stunned to see the other 3 Saiyans are already preoccupied with someone, as Gohalo and Raditz draw closer. Over the shoulders of the other Saiyans, they see Beerus arguing with someone, a fatter version of himself. We'll leave off here for now. So what do you guys think? Is this fusion permanent, or will they defuse? Piccolo is only an apprentice Kai after all, not a full Supreme Kai. We've seen Kai fusions before, but they involved Shin and Goku Black, who were both Supreme Kais at the time. We've never seen one with an apprentice Kai and a non-Kai. So let me know what you think below. Of course, they can undo it regardless, but this will affect the next episode. And what did you guys think about this part? Leave any thoughts or suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's try and hit that like goal from before. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future parts of this with, or any other videos that I upload on my channel. This part's been pretty long, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.